and welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering the STX of the One Shepherd Alpha Company Fall Semester 2022. And with the initial events complete, the STX started off with PT. This time the students went through the bayonet moves they learned in the initial events, and they added their rifles to the mix and practiced doing the maneuvers with their rifles. Then after some chow, they moved into their classes. Now, as before, where the initial events were broken up into three parts, Warrior Basic, Warrior Advanced, and Leadership Reflection, now the whole class has come together into a big collective task. And on this semester, the collective task was Movement to Contact and Mobile Defense. So their first class here of the STX was on mobile defense, where the students learned the theories of what to do from the instructors, and then they would later in the day learn how to implement it out in the field.
My level of comfort, that's a PL question at the end of the day, though. Right? That he's going to make those decisions. Okay. Any questions up to this point?
After the classroom portion for Movement to Contact, the students moved out to a practical application in the field. The OPFOR consisted of the cadre. They had a vehicle set up as a point to defend, and the students had a general idea of where they were going, and they moved out in formation to find the enemy force and take it out. Let's take a look, see how they did. Yeah, well, that was no fun. Malfunction right on the first shot when I saw the enemy. Turns out I had a bad magazine, so I basically turned my AR into a bolt-action semi-automatic rifle. So I ended up getting taken out pretty quick on this. The students were aggressive enough in their maneuvering. They definitely did direct action plus a flanking movement, and were eventually able to overpower the OPFOR. CCP, go back there. CP right there.
We're going to have to set up a rally to help. Yeah, copy. I think we're rallying them to appreciate it.
Now, each STX consists of three parts. The first part is an offensive tactic. The second part is a defensive tactic, and the third part is an enabling tactic. This STX, Movement to Contact and Mobile Defense, is unique among the FTXs because it is the only one where the enabling tactic gets 2 iterations. You have 4 iterations in an STX. So one for the offense, one for the defense, one for the enabling, and then whatever is considered to be the most difficult tactic is done twice, once in the daylight and once at night. Passage of lines is the enabling tactic on the movement to contact / mobile defense STX. So the students get the opportunity to do it twice, once in the daylight, once at night. Now, got to apologize here. Camera gremlins and instructor responsibilities got in the way, and there's no filming of the daylight portion. But that's really not that important for the concept of what we're trying to convey here. Passage of lines was conducted in a very dynamic way. We had all the students out in the field outside the fob, and at first we did it extremely close interval so everybody could understand the concept. Instead of having to depend on the radios, it was voice. Didn't even have the students in gear the first time, just doing it at a crawl phase. Then we moved to the walk phase, where the students could get the concept on a much larger scale. Then we decided that we would kind of meld both the day and the night line together. The students really seemed to be grasping the concept during the day part, so they were given their night mission. And the rest of the day course, they were allowed to use that as their planning of what they had to do. And basically, so you understand, is the unit broke into two parts. One was the defensive line, and the second part was the one with an offensive mission, where they had to go through the line, go out, conduct their mission, which was a screening patrol, and then come back through the lines. So the students continued to rehearse a little bit more during the day. They task organized. They drew the equipment they wanted. When chow came, they took advantage of all that, had some free time, and then when darkness started to come, they launched into their rock drills, which we see ongoing right here. The part of the class that was the patrolling element had a brief contact, which you can see in the distance here, but it didn't really amount to much. It was just figures in the dark. They saw each other, they traded some rounds, no hits taken. Later, a second OPFOR patrol would probe the defensive line and attempt to get through, and results were not good for the students.
Suck! Suck! Suck, or we will fire on you! Suck, or we will fire on you! Shine a light on him. Shine a light on him. Hands up. Come close to be recognized. Get ready.
If you're dead, take your covers off. Yeah, because he's dead. As you can see, the enemy was able to get through the lines. This occurred because the students took an overly strict interpretation of the rules of engagement, so strict, in fact, that it prevented them engaging in their own self-preservation. Had they been more aggressive, they could have totally contained this at the lines. However, they let it get too far advanced, and by the time they realized it truly was the enemy, it was too late. And when the shots rang out, although the defenders got shots off, they got no hits except for one member of the force trying to get through the lines. And the enemy force coming through the lines unfortunately took out 4 of the defenders and was able to penetrate all into the heart of the fob and destroy the fob. Notionally, the fob was now a smoking hole in the ground. Meanwhile, the patrol that was out approached the lines and tried to get back in. However, each side was seeing movement through their nods, and after being penetrated and having their fob destroyed, the defenders on the line were very, very spooked, and also the patrol, hearing all the firefight going on, also was a little spooked. So even though they saw each other, they weren't sure that the other side was friendly. The patrol decided to pull back, use the large amount of time he still had left to complete his mission, and literally take the long way around as his return route, just like his infiltration route was, and just avoid the whole necessary of passage of lines as a way to prevent fratricide.
Protect your knees,
After a good night's rest, the second day of the STX began. The day began with pugil stick fighting, a chance for the students to put into practice all the bayonet fighting techniques they had learned during PT earlier in the week. After the completion of the bayonet fights and determining who was the baddest of them all, we then moved into the defensive tactic of the STX, which is mobile defense.
Twist his dick! Oh! Was that a joust?
While One Shepherd is known for its use of the miles system, the truth is it's not the perfect system for every single scenario. Here in mobile defense, we do it at a very close interval so everybody can grasp the concept. Therefore, we don't use the mile system, we use Nerf. And believe it or not, you have a lot of fun learning this technique. So what the students do with the Nerf is one side is armed with some very, very high capacity Nerf guns, and that's it. And they just have their isomats to use as shields. And they move as a main body attacking force. The mobile defending force is broken up into small teams, and they have more Nerf guns, but they're low capacity, 5 to 6 rounds each, and they also have swords, which of course has no range. So you have defended with high volume of firepower versus light volume of firepower and close-in weapons. It provides some interesting outcomes. At the completion of mobile defense, the students had done all the classes of the STX, and then they moved into the PMCS period of cleaning all the weapons, radios, nods, everything that had been used during the STX, and to get it prepared for the FTX. And we'll have more for you about what's going to happen in the FTX in the next video.